Yes, hello. If you identify as a woman, we need to have a little chat.
What is toxic femininity? I have defined toxic femininity.
There's a peculiar energy online that captures attention like wildfire, the mean girl persona. Not just your average antagonist, but the sharp-tongued, unapologetically confident woman who commands the room with just a look. This archetype, wrapped in sass and dominance, has been romanticized across social media platforms and beyond. But what drives this fascination? And why does the internet keep glorifying a type of toxic femininity that often masks manipulation and emotional coercion? When confidence crosses the line, the mean girl figure has existed in pop culture for decades. Think Regina George from Mean Girls or Blair Waldorf from Gossip Girl. These characters are defined by their power, confidence, and sometimes ruthless behavior. They wield influence in their social circles, often creating drama that keeps everyone watching. Fast forward to today, and this archetype has escaped fiction. It's alive on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and in real life. Women embracing what's called toxic femininity are flooding the internet, with many claiming it's a form of empowerment. But toxic femininity isn't simply about being confident or standing up for yourself. It's about using emotional manipulation, passive aggression, and exclusion as tools to control and dominate others, often while masquerading as vulnerability or victimhood. What makes this tricky is how this behavior is repackaged. The mean girl is celebrated not for kindness or growth, but for holding power through intimidation, emotional pressure, and subtle coercion. And the internet's reward system loves that. Viral videos, millions of followers, brand deals worth thousands of dollars. This behavior is profitable, and that feeds the cycle. Manipulation in disguise. Most discussions about narcissistic abuse highlight the grandiose narcissist, the one who openly believes they're superior. But a quieter, more pervasive form exists. The victim narcissist. This is the person who overwhelms others with their emotional needs and frames themselves as someone no one else can save. They don't say, "I'm better than you." Instead, they say, "I need you, and if you don't help me, you're a bad person." This emotional manipulation often goes unnoticed because the person appears vulnerable or distressed. It's a kind of narcissism that thrives on guilt, obligation, and constant demands for attention and validation. This pattern is common not only in romantic relationships but also in friendships and family dynamics. The victim narcissist uses emotional pressure to make others feel guilty for setting boundaries, pushing the narrative that the only way to prove care is by sacrificing their own needs. This silent manipulation can be exhausting and damaging, yet it rarely gets the spotlight it deserves. Consent and coercion. A striking example of this dynamic recently came from Love Island with Huda and Chris. In one clip, Huda gave Chris an ultimatum, counting down to 3, demanding cuddles. The scene played out like a test: comply or face anger and emotional fallout. What seemed like a simple disagreement was actually a moment of emotional coercion. Chris had made it clear he wanted to prioritize rest, especially since they were only getting 2 hours of sleep. Yet Huda's insistence was a subtle threat, her anger looming if he didn't comply. This kind of behavior is passive-aggressive coercion. It's not outright aggression, but it uses implied consequences to pressure someone into doing something against their will. Many online viewers defended her, saying Chris should have cuddled her, or that she was just being affectionate. But consent isn't something to negotiate or guilt someone into its absolute. This incident highlights a broader issue. Society struggles to recognize toxic femininity when it wears the mask of victimhood or affection. The romanticization of these behaviors is problematic because it normalizes emotional pressure in relationships, setting dangerous precedents. Social media's role. On platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, toxic femininity often appears as viral, mean girl energy content. Influencers post bold videos where they criticize others for their looks, weight, or voice, sometimes encouraging exclusion and harsh judgment. What's alarming is how this content gets rewarded with likes, shares, and followers. Creators known for controversial behavior, racist, sexist, or homophobic comments included, often build massive followings because of their aesthetic or entertaining delivery. Comments like, "She might be problematic, but I love her style," show how people separate personality flaws from appeal, prioritizing surface-level traits over values. Many young women relate to these influencers, seeing their boldness as strength, even when it comes at the expense of kindness or respect. This normalization encourages a culture where tearing others down is celebrated rather than challenged. Generation Z's mean girl epidemic. What's even more striking is how these mean girl dynamics have spilled out from private chats into public spaces, with Gen Z leading the charge in normalizing viral bullying. The internet, especially TikTok and Snapchat, has become a stage where people feel entitled to record, expose, and publicly shame others without consent. Take gyms, classrooms, subways, places where people expect some level of privacy or at least respect. There's this bizarre trend of filming others, catching them off guard, and turning those moments into viral content to mock or call out behavior that's really harmless or simply different. For example, a knitting influencer named at Shop Purple Pier was recorded in class and bullied online for just being herself a goth girl who knits. That's right, knitting. It's a harmless hobby, but somehow it became fuel for online bullying because it didn't fit a certain image or vibe. This behavior isn't just limited to girls either. Gym culture has its own share of public shaming and entitlement, where people record workouts, then lose their minds if anyone asks for privacy or to move out of frame. What's often dismissed as just content creation crosses into narcissism and disrespect for others' boundaries. This constant exposure and public shaming can create an environment where empathy takes a backseat to views and likes, and where the lines between confidence and cruelty blur. When people see that tearing others down publicly gains followers and money, it becomes a shortcut to social capital, perpetuating the cycle. The dark side of mean girl energy. What might seem empowering in youth can lead to emotional stagnation and isolation later in life. When manipulation and cruelty become habitual, true personal growth gets blocked. The result? Individuals trapped in patterns of toxicity, unable to build genuine, supportive relationships. Women who embrace toxic femininity often surround themselves with others who tolerate or reinforce these behaviors. This insular environment discourages accountability and change, deepening the cycle. Fast forward several decades, and the consequences become clear. Women who spent their lives being mean and manipulative may find themselves alone, reflecting on why their social circles disappeared. The bitter irony is that the same behaviors they used to control others contributed to their own isolation. This is not just a personal issue, it's societal. When a generation romanticizes mean girl energy, it risks producing adults who struggle with empathy, collaboration, and healthy emotional expression. The cost of emotional control and bullying. Toxic behavior isn't just damaging to others, it's costly for the person embodying it. Being constantly on guard, wielding control through intimidation or exclusion, is exhausting. It creates a life filled with conflict, insecurity, and often deep loneliness. There's no cool points for being cruel or manipulative, and the idea that throwing shade or dishing out mean girl comments makes someone more powerful is misleading. Real strength comes from self-awareness, kindness, and the ability to maintain healthy relationships. At any age, but especially as people grow older, kindness and humility often become more valuable than sharp wit or cutting remarks. Those who invest in positive energy and genuine connections tend to experience a deeper sense of fulfillment and respect. A call for real empowerment. True empowerment is rooted in self-confidence, emotional intelligence, and respect for boundaries, both one's own and others. It's about recognizing toxic behaviors within ourselves and committing to growth rather than perfection. Women who shine brightest in life are often those who carry a humble strength, who uplift others instead of tearing them down. This is not about suppressing assertiveness or ignoring issues, but about choosing compassion over cruelty. Seeking therapy, reflecting on personal behavior, and setting boundaries without manipulation are marks of real empowerment, not viral trends promoting mean girl energy. Shaping a healthier culture. The internet's obsession with the mean girl archetype won't vanish overnight. It's woven into the fabric of viral culture and monetized attention. But awareness is the first step toward change. Encouraging conversations around emotional manipulation, consent, and toxic femininity can help dismantle the allure of the mean girl and promote healthier relationship dynamics. The question remains, will the next generation embrace kindness and accountability, or will mean girl energy continue to dominate the narrative? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Would you survive in a world where mean girl energy ruled everything? And more importantly, would you want to? Keep following for more conversations on real issues, unfiltered and insightful.